Beaumaris Castle, the gateway to medieval Ireland. Beaumaris Castle is one of the most stunning medieval fortresses in northwestern Europe. In the late 13th and early 14th century, over 2,500 people toiled in a marsh in the northwest of Wales, raising a fortress that protected the key route to the Norman colony in Ireland. After the Norman invasion of the 1170s, much of Ireland was in the hands of Norman lords loyal to the kings of England. In order to keep in contact with their king, these lords were dependent on a series of ports on the north and south coast of Wales. From the 1280s onwards, Edward I, the King of England, began to build a series of castles in northern Wales to secure routes to these ports. Most famous among them was Carnarvon and Conway. However, it is Beaumaris that is the most impressive, in my opinion. Built on a marshy site dominating the Menai Strait, a short stretch of water that connected mainland Wales to the key port of Holyhead, it was crucial in maintaining contact with Ireland in the face of rebellious Welsh princes who threatened the overland route between Holyhead and England. Work begun in 1295 under the direction of Master James of St. George, Edward I's chief engineer, and continued for over 30 years. The castle that emerged from the marsh was spectacular. It took the form of a large square courtyard protected by a second outer wall flanked by 12 towers and 2 gatehouses. The outer walls were significantly shorter than those fortifying the inner courtyard. This was designed to allow fire from both walls without risk of defenders killing each other in crossfire. The main entrance to the castle was through the heavily defended gatehouse on the southern side. Any would-be attacker had to cross the moat, facing fire from the narrow slits in the walls on all sides. They then had to enter through the heavily defended arch protected by several gates and a portcullis, which was a large iron grid which could be dropped from above. Once inside, the attacker found themselves between the inner and outer wall. The gate accessing the inner complex was at right angles, forcing any unwelcome guest to make a sharp turn, exposing themselves to fire from the walls above. Behind this arch lay another gatehouse, again protected by several gates. Once inside, the castle courtyard soars above you on all sides. The most striking building is the northern gatehouse at the far end of the yard. This once housed a grand hall over 20 metres in length. The main living apartments are now long gone, but once stood on the eastern wall, evidenced in the foundations still poking above the surface and the 2 large chimney breasts set into the wall. The most remarking feature of the castle are the inner walls, measuring 11 metres in height and 4.7 metres in width. These contain a warren of passages running through the entire castle for what must be at least a kilometre. In the Middle Ages, before electric lighting illuminated the way, they must have been treacherously dark. Even today, it feels like you're entering a subterranean world in these passageways. Along the vast corridors, there are numerous chambers and rooms. These contain arrow loops providing covering fire for the walls. These wall passageways also contain an unusual amount of garderobes or toilets, over 32 in the walls of the inner courtyard alone. These filtered into massive cisterns in the walls, which were then emptied through tunnels into the moat. The most impressive building in these walls is the church, situated on the eastern side. It is the best decorated surviving building. Defence was always the primary concern at Beaumaris, and the castle even had its own fortified harbour. Beaumaris Castle was never completed, but nevertheless it was an impressive, well-defended fortification. It survived a siege in 1403 when the forces of the Welsh prince Owen Glendower tried to take the castle. In the 1640s, it played a key role in the English Civil War, keeping supply lines open for King Charles I to his allies in Ireland, as he fought the parliamentary forces led by Oliver Cromwell. This was the castle's last stand, so to speak, and was intentionally slighted in the 1660s so it could not be used again. If you want to get more videos like this, subscribe to Irish History Snapshots at the end of the show.